Now stepping up to the mic, the host of Wrestling with Freddie, Freddie Prinze Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome AEW's MJF. Hello, sir. How are you?
I am the youngest and fastest rising star in the history of professional wrestling. My name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I'm also the man who beat PG Punk twice in Chicago, and I am very excited to get to talk to you today, Freddie, and really just put myself over for a couple of minutes. I don't get to do it often. I'm a humble guy.
You don't get nearly enough opportunities to speak about yourself. But
I agree. I always pull Tony Khan over to the side. Good friend of mine, Tony, billionaire, just throwing it out there. And I say, Tony, 15 minutes, that's all you can give me? That's it? That's it's ridiculous. But Tony understands where his bread is buttered. I get more time every week on a 2-hour show, and all the ex-WWE guys get, 3 to 5. So.
All right, listen, man. Speaking of the fastest rising star, and we haven't even scratched the surface of your accomplishments, I happen to think very highly of you. I find the wrestling business and stand-up comedy the two hardest forms of entertainment in the history of entertainment. You're getting an immediate response and an immediate reaction from the crowd. They let you know real quick if they respect you or if they do not. And what you've managed to do, in my opinion, is establish yourself as one of the building sort of foundation stones that this company, AEW, has become. Now, there may have been a bedrock that it was laid upon, right? With like a Chris Jericho, someone like that coming in. But in order to build the company, they had to identify the right young talent that could come into this business and not only be the future, but take it from the people who have their hands firmly wrapped around it right now. They unlocked the door and you decided to just literally kick it off the hinges.
Yeah, I'm not a knocker, Fred.
No, I haven't seen you knock on a door, and I was late to the party on you, man. And it's not shame, it's regret that I have for not being hip to you and what you've managed to do. And I loved, listen, your story and your experience with CM Punk, or as you called him, PG Punk, was nothing less than perfect. And you made true on every promise that you were going to make. And where you stand now, the world of AEW is your oyster. I used to always want to punch guys in the face who said that, and now I'm saying it. I guess I'm old. What is your plan for 2022? Where do you see yourself going this year?
World domination. Humbly, I say that, and respectfully. Here's the deal. Nothing you said is inaccurate. I didn't come into this company with any friends. I wasn't a friend hire, as a lot of people in my company are. I came in a man on an island, and essentially all I was given was opportunity, and I smashed it out of the park. Every time you see me on screen, I don't hit singles. I don't hit doubles. Hell, I don't even hit home runs. I only hit grand slams. I'm the king. I'm the king of swing. It's what I do. And, when I was told that PG Punk was coming into my company, I was none too pleased. Everybody was talking like this is some god in wrestling that is making a big return. And, it didn't sit well with me because there's only one god in wrestling right now, and his name's Maxwell Jacob Friedman. But I tried to be respectful. I tried to extend my hand and shake PG Punk's hand like a grown man, but he's not capable of that because he's a bitch boy. And as you saw, I then took him to tax in his own hometown in the Midwest of Chicago, Illinois, a dumpster fire. And I beat him twice. What's next, obviously, is I'm going to become the AEW World Champion. PG Punk wants a rematch, and that's cute, honestly. And once I'm through with him, I'm going to become the World Champion. And who knows, man? Maybe I might take over Hollywood, too, just like you did back in, what was it, the 70s? When were you on top?
It was a wee bit later. My father took over in the 70s. Yeah, I'm not that old.
Got it. I was born in 96, so I get my dates all mixed up because I'm not a dinosaur. So enough with the yakety yak and the douchebaggery coming out of your lips. How about we get into some questions, and you send me my Venmo after we're done with this crappy little interview.
All artists are clay or stone or whichever noun we like to use. Someone shapes us. Someone molds us.
Yeah.
Someone helps us become the man or the woman we are when we become professionals. Who put this dog in you? Or was it a moment and you did this by yourself? But who put this energy? Because I'm telling you, when I speak to you, even when you're disrespectful, it's like a young lion who doesn't care about the old lion anymore because the old lion is eaten more than he kills. And you're not having that. So who helped shape this man?
I feel like I was kind of born with a chip on my shoulder in the sense that I was a kid. I was 5'0", Jewish kid who, and when you're a young kid growing up in Long Island and you're a Jew, you're expected to be a doctor or a lawyer, something to that effect. And that kind of peeved me off a little bit because I was like, oh, I'm way more athletic than everybody around me. Why is it that I have to settle for kind of being a normie jerk like dork? It was just not my thing. And, I felt that, especially whenever I played football or any contact sport. Every single play was an opportunity for me to shut people up. And when I did do well, which I did every single play, I made sure people heard it. And just growing up, while I did have I had a hard time. My father gave me a small loan of $2 million. And for most people, they wouldn't have been able to, make ends meet off of something that minuscule, but not me. I worked my ass off to get to the position I'm in today. I was never handed anything. And it's what's unfortunate? You know what I should be handed? My flowers. I don't know why people have to wait for my memorial show to tell me how great I am. Why can't people tell me how great I am right now? It's sad, Freddie. That's what it is.
I think at the very next AEW live show, you should be showered with flowers. And I hope that the people appreciate you enough to go out and purchase from their hard-earned checks instead of something for their kids. Roses, not daisies, not the grocery store ones from an actual florist.
100%.
Just for you. You should be like Prince Hakeem from Coming to America.
Never seen it. When did that come out? The 70s?
Oh, God. No, it was probably, you were negative, I think, 6 at the time. It's a really good movie. You should check it out.
Sounds like the drizzling shits.
1996, I think I was on the cover of People magazine as like the sexiest teen kid with a smile that Crest wanted to sponsor or whatever it was.
30 B-movie rom-coms around that.
Those were A+, baby. What are you talking about? That was A+.
Understood. But no, yeah, you're right. Here's the deal, Freddie, and not enough people talk about it. I feel like if I died today, I've already had one of the greatest runs in the history of the business. I've had some of the most memorable feuds and monumental moments in such a short period of time. And I'm only 25. And I think it's hard for people to wrap their brain around that. And the thing is, Roddy Piper, one of my all-time favorites outside of John Cena. Love John Cena to death. You know John?
I do know John. He didn't like me very much.
Neither do I. But the thing that you understand is that's the price of greatness. Is you're not always going to get along with people. That's why me and John got along so well the one time I met up with him when I did extra work. But I'm getting lost here. So Roddy Piper, one of the greatest of all time, never won a world title. And that's my goal, is I want to be looked upon as the greatest of all time. But I was also able to win that coveted World Heavyweight Championship. And I plan on doing that very soon.
So let's talk about Piper, because I've heard a lot of people mention your name with his. People saying, I've heard people say The Miz as well, but the one that clicks with me, and because I'm so much older, is Piper. And Piper had an ability to connect to people, and whether he wanted you to love him in the moment or hate him in the moment, he could get you to do it both times. And it was that ability to communicate that helped him transfer into movies. He was in a movie, again, that was made before you were born called They Live. That's a great cult sci-fi movie. Solid movie. And it even allowed him to have the courage to delve into stand-up comedy the few years before he passed away. I had the pleasure of seeing him perform at the Improv, where my dad used to perform. You're 25 years old. And what you said is hard to argue, because you already have accomplished so much. And with each and every victory and opportunity you've had, you've made the most of it. Let's say when you're 35, you've won every world championship there is to win. You've taken all those things. At 35 years old, do you think you'd be able to walk away and say, I'm done. I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to be a star.
I'm going to walk away way before then. There's talk of a bidding war. I don't know if you've heard, Fredward, but there is talk of
I have.
war. And, these Fox execs, they're thirsty for daddy. I mean, they want a piece of me bad. And, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm not interested. I like money. I think if there's one thing that I love more than gold, it's green, Fred. And I'm going to go wherever I'm offered the most. By the time I turn 35, though, I'm probably going to be well and done with wrestling. I'll probably have achieved everything that I possibly can in the pro wrestling genre. And by that time, I'd imagine you're going to be seeing me on billboards for movies and TV shows.
Listen to everything this guy is saying, please, all you guys listening. And whether you hate him or whether you love everything he's saying, it is 100% necessary if you want to achieve a dream in, I don't know about business, okay? But I know about the art world, whether it be acting or comedy or music or wrestling. Everything this man says and is doing is what is necessary. I know everyone thought I was this sweet boy. You said you had no friends coming into this game. I had no friends coming into this game, all right? I lied. I cheated. I stole. I told casting directors my name was Ryan Phillippe so that I could get an audition when they didn't want to see Freddie Prinze Jr. I did whatever was necessary to get in the room and make the most of my opportunities. I would love nothing more than an actual public. Do you realize what you're saying hasn't happened ever publicly? If there was an open bidding war for the services of MJF, and it was a legitimate bidding war, that would literally put more eyes and ears on the business of wrestling than have been in 30 plus years. And you're talking about it like it's nothing, like it's already going to happen.
Well, here's the deal, man. I'm sure by the time 2024 rolls around, you will see people that were working in AEW already now potentially making the jump to WWE. But what you won't see is the amount of money being thrown. When I tell you, and this is a straight fact, I know for a fact when 2024 rolls around, we're talking millions of dollars here that I know for a fact that whomever owns WWE by then, we don't know, is going to be willing to pay Maxwell Jacob Friedman, while Tony Khan, good friend of mine, love TK, great guy, is also going to be offering me a butt ton of money. And I love AEW. AEW is a great place, but like I said before, I love money. That's all that this is. At the end of the day, this ain't friend business. This is show business, and it's a business with a capital B, and that's all that matters to Max. Now, once I've done everything I can in the squared circle, that's when I move on to my next venture. And I'm excited for all these chapters in my book. I'm also excited for people to look back and listen to this podcast and go, this kid called his shot like Babe Ruth. You're damn right I did. And I had fun doing it all the way through. I'm 25 right now. I'm a baby. And when I'm 35, I'm still going to be a baby. I'm still going to be young as shit. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and John Cena did not enter, or should I say did not exit the pro wrestling landscape until their mid-30s. That's both of them. And they were not the titans they are in Hollywood until their mid to late 30s. I'm already telling you right now, I love wrestling. Wrestling is great. I'm going to continue to be the top name in the industry because don't get it twisted, folks. I already am. People are already referring to me as the top heel, which I despise, and we can get into that after I'm done with this beautiful monologue, in professional wrestling, and I'm a baby.
Your contract, it's 2024, whatever year it is, your contract's up, you're a free agent.
January 1st, 2024.
Is MJF the highest paid wrestler in the business in 2024?
I think let me put it this way. Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because I think WWE is going to be willing to do whatever it takes to get me to jump ship. Because to have me is to pretty much take a sniper rifle and shoot the heart of all elite wrestling. Because that's what I am. I'm the glue. Because everybody around me hates my guts. Everybody wants to punch me in the face. I am the top tier guy that everybody has a problem with. When you take your biggest antagonist, even though personally I feel I'm a protagonist, but I'm salt of the earth, when you take your biggest antagonist, so to say, and you take them away, what do you have? What is the Batman without the Joker? He's nobody.
They need each other.
He's not intriguing. There is no success without having that thorn in your side. And I got no problem being that thorn because it makes me a shit ton of money. So to answer your question, Fred, yeah, I do believe that these people are going to be willing to shill out a lot of cash for me because not only am I one of the greatest talkers, not only am I one of the greatest professional wrestlers this sport has to offer, I'm someone like Piper, a gentleman that you had mentioned earlier, that is able to make people feel something, viscerally feel something. It's a lost art in my industry. I don't know where it went away. At some point, people started caring more about the moves than the emotions. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that's going to make people tune in, and I'm going to grab them by the face. That's what I do. That's why I'm irreplaceable.
So you have no appreciation for the history of the movies that I've been
Zero.
in.
Yeah, except Scooby-Doo. I grew up on those. They were solid. Yeah.
I'm sure you made your parents watch them as well, so you owe them an apology. But you are arguably the most old school wrestler in the business right now. Are you a historian of the business as well? Or do you simply have an appreciation for it? Do you not care about it?
I'm a complete student of the game. I literally was just watching a match with Moose Cholak from I think it was like the 50s. And that's what I do. You know, I study my sport because I don't want to be the best. I need to be the best. That's just how I've been. That's how I was raised. That's how I grew up. It's the only thing that's acceptable to me. If I go out there and I do anything but have the best moment of the night, I feel like a failure. And I refuse to feel like a failure. That's for the people watching me at home. All of you guys can be failures. MJF is not allowed to be a failure. That's why I watch all the greats, and that's why I study professional wrestling ad nauseum. That's just how I operate. That's why I study the greats. That's why I study the Tully Blanchards, who I now get to work along with. That's why I study, Moose Cholak, who I just brought up earlier, Pampiro Firpo. I'm studying old school. Jesus, I'll watch some crazy out of the box shit just because you never know what you can pick up or get out of it. I was watching an Antonio Rocca match. This was 2 weeks ago, and I was watching how he performed the head scissors. It was very different than the head scissors you see today, and it's just interesting. I watch all facets of wrestling. I love territory wrestling. I can watch Mid-South wrestling till I'm blue in the face. It was always, always, always presented to you in a way where you didn't feel like your intelligence was being insulted. And that's what I do, because professional wrestling is real. And it is especially real when I'm out there. And I think that's what fans, whether they realize it or not, want to see. They don't want to see two guys go out there and perform moves like it's a video game and then go on Twitter and go, "Oh, thanks for the match, bud." That's not what people want to see. We're fighting out there.
You sound like me talking to my buddies that are my age right now. I mean,
it's the truth. I am not a gimmick. Nothing about me is a gimmick. When I walk through that curtain and when I walk back through the curtain, I am and always will be MJF 24/7. I'm going out there to win so I can get the winner's purse, move up in the rankings, and hopefully soon down the line become your AEW World Champion. Somewhere along the way, this got lost. And I am back in pro wrestling. I have come back to fix the wrongs that have been written and right them back. That's what
This is why you should be. This is why when people say you're a heel, it drives me crazy.
No, I'm a person. I'm trying to fix the product that has been broken for the last couple of decades. That's what I'm trying to do. Freddie, when you got a guy like PG Punk who's walking around pretending like he's some hotshot in my ring and talking all this mess, I won't stand for it. I don't care what you've done in the past. You're in my company now. You're in my company now.
So you mentioned Mid-South Wrestling.
Yes.
And Mid-South was famous for men having a genuine reason to fight.
Yeah.
And they communicated the reason why, and they communicated what they were going to do. And like you said, at some point down the road, that was lost. And I've always said this many times, wrestling is the purest definition of art because it's the literal blood, sweat, and tears on a literal canvas. But it's made live. It's like getting to watch Jackson Pollock, died before you were born, famous painter, American artist, famous in a time when American artists didn't get famous.
Yes.
But that's what you're doing out there on a weekly basis. That's why I say, are you going to be the highest paid wrestler in 2024? Listen, if I ran WWE and you came in a meeting and your contract was up, my negotiation would be a big checkbook that said WWE, Titan Corp, or whatever it was, and I would send it over to you, and I would tell you to write in a number and an amount of years, and then I would sign that check, and I would hand it to you. And that would be the end of our negotiation. That's how much I respect and appreciate the route you're taking, because to be as old school as you are in the modern era, for kids that were born into social media and whose egos have been warped so badly that the slightest compliment makes them feel like Jesus Christ or Mahatma Gandhi, and the smallest criticism makes them want to jump off a bridge, and you literally storm through it like a snowplow. And there is nothing that I've seen, and like I said, I was late to the game, but there's nothing I've seen in AEW that is going to slow you down. You're going to hit the same challenges that every other superstar before you has hit, but many of them have smashed through as well. And when you say Roddy Piper, I knew Piper, okay? We weren't best friends, but I knew him. My dad was a stand-up. He had a great appreciation for that. And my father's one of his best friends with Keith David. Keith David was Piper's friend from They Live. And so it was all this sort of weird incestuous crew. My dad died when he was 22, had an attitude like yours. Nothing's going to stop me. But the one thing that could was himself. And he was messed up on drugs. And that's the quickest way to screw up your path. And to watch you, brother, listen, I'm not even supposed to say this, but to me, you're the best heel working, period. And I still think you're a face because I genuinely think you're saving wrestling because you come at it with such an honesty, an old school grit. You don't care who's in your way. They're an obstacle and they're going to get smashed the same way they were when you were in high school playing football. And the guy across from you may have been bigger or was told that they were going to be the great, big, huge NFLer, but on that night, they got put on their ass by you. And I love you for that, man. Am I allowed to say that? If I'm not, you can tell me.
I'm kind of getting sick over here, but nothing you're saying is inaccurate. You know, is it definitely over the top? I don't want to take you out for dinner, Freddie. I need you to relax a little bit. You know, you can ask around. This is everything that comes out of my mouth is a shoot. But what you need to understand is, like, people don't like me in my locker room. No one is a fan of MJF in my locker room because everybody wants to be MJF. Everybody wants to be the 25-year-old guy who's already on top. Nobody's happy that I have done what I've done in such a short period of time. And guess what? I don't give a shit. And they're going to be way more upset when I beat CM Punk again, wherever he decides we're going to wrestle. And when I'm wearing Pretty Platinum, the AEW World title, they're going to be even more upset. And so are you, person listening to this podcast, who crosses their fingers every week that somebody's going to shut me up. Newsflash, it's not going to happen. And I'm not being apologetic for that. Like I said, I approach this as sport because it is. And I'm a professional athlete. I don't mess around. And there are other guys who are happy to be here. They're just happy to be on TV. And that's great. Golf clap for you. I'm not going to be happy until I am the most successful, the most famous professional wrestler who's ever graced this earth. that's when I'll have a real smiling on my face. Now, there are moments where I'm able to soak it in. You bet your ass when I was being held up on that throne by all those short, stocky fat boys as they carried me to the ring, and I had my tongue down that girl's tonsils last week, that I was a pig in shit. I was having a good time. You have to be able to take a step back and enjoy the fruits of your labor, but I will not be completely fulfilled. This chip will not be off my shoulder until I go down as the greatest of all time.
MJ, you are a young gunner, but you are old school as fuck, and that is the first time I've ever said fuck on my podcast. You are 100% correct. I was told a long time ago by a very smart man in Hollywood, storytellers cut no wood, and that was one of the reasons I became an actor, and not even I can shut you up. You are the man. I am so grateful for you doing this. Where can people find you so they can harass you and you can not give a shit while crapping all over them at the same time?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @the_MJF. If you are a producer in Hollywood and you are looking for a very handsome, very young stud for your upcoming movie, you can email me at bookmjf@gmail.com. If you are someone who is looking to spend upwards of $600 some odd dollars for a cameo, I'm not looking forward to it, but I do it. So you can go there to cameo for me. This has been Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I'm better than you, and you know.
All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll see everybody next week with a brand new episode of Wrestling with Freddie. Peace. This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura podcast network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. What's up, you guys? Thanks for listening. Appreciate you guys. I hope you had an awesome holiday. I hope you have an awesome new year. And here's to brand new episodes of Wrestling with Freddie starting next week. Peace.